Sinister. That must be what made the lights go strange in here. I'm going to show you how to create sinister sounding chord progressions. These are chord progressions that induce a state of discomfort and overall eerie mood in the listener. And I'm going to show you a couple different variations on chords that I like to use to get this sound. Spoiler alert, these chords are actually chords that I get asked about a lot. They're augmented chords. How do I use an augmented chord? Where do I use it? I'm going to show you how to create sinister sounding chord progressions using this augmented sound so you can have some reason to use it other than, hey, check it out, Ma, an augmented chord. So I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you some effects that I like to use to instill a sense of unease in whoever's listening, as well as myself. It just inspires me to be more sinister. So let's take a look at augmented triads. So as you know, I'm a huge fan of triads, but not just major and minor triads, also augmented and diminished triads. So for today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on augmented triads. As we know, triads consist of 3 notes, a root, a third, and a fifth. An augmented triad has a root, a major third, and a sharp 5. So if we want to take our G augmented triad, we've got a root, major third, sharp 5. So here would be a major, G major triad. Ah, nice and happy. But sinister augmented. Now the interesting thing about augmented triads is once you learn the shape on a given string set, then you automatically know all the inversions. Due to the inherent symmetry in augmented triads, the shapes remain the same, so you just have to understand that each shape is a major third apart. So as we see here, take this same shape and move it up a major third. Same thing. So, any key, back to G. So any one of those shapes will remain the same depending on which string set you're on. So here's another example on this G, B, and E string set. Just move this up a major third. And another one. And all these other ones. And also triad arpeggios. So anything available to us in this augmented tonality is the same as long as we move up a major third. So if any of that information is unclear, the terminology doesn't make sense to you, then check out my course, Guitar Super System, linked down below, and you'll learn all about all the variations of triads and their inversions, as well as a host of other great guitar concepts. So now that we understand the augmented tonality and its shapes on the neck, how the heck do we use them to create sinister, evil sounding chord progressions? Well, there's a few different ways. I think it has to do with the tempo and the way you deliver your melodic message, so to speak. Here is an example of just a chord progression I'll come up with off the top of my head. Now I'm going to play the same thing, only using this tremolo. It's the Vertigo tremolo, in case you're interested, from Source Audio. So I'm going to do the same thing. As you can see, the tremolo effect is seriously one of the most underrated effects. I've always heard tremolo used in, like, old Western. And that's cool, but I think it has more uses than just that one genre that nobody actually plays. So I think using a tremolo is the first step to getting the real sinister vibe, and maybe you could use like a flanger or a chorus pedal as well. Any type of modulation effect that will manipulate the listener's ear into a state of unease and discomfort. I think that's on the right track. So the next key here is I took the augmented triad as my foundation, and then I moved it up, but then instead of this note here, I moved it up a minor third. So that is not in the augmented tonality. This note's not in this G augmented tonality. But here's an important point about music that I have to make. There are no rules. There are only guidelines. You could take an augmented triad, come up to this next inversion, and then change it. I'm still maintaining the quality of that sound, I think, but I am just spicing it up. With the augmented sound as my foundation for this sinister vibe, I am making it more interesting by changing just one single note. I'm preserving that sound, but also changing it so it just doesn't sound like I'm playing triads over and over, just the same chord shape. I did the same thing in the third chord. Instead of playing this augmented triad, I made it into a major triad, which the major sound in like a minor or weird tonality, I think is equally creepy, because it's like, what is that major sound doing there? And then I came down to bring it on home with a traditional augmented, D augmented triad. So we started with a G augmented triad, and then we moved up here to another G augmented triad, but we changed. So there's a clashing. And then I came down here to an E flat major chord, a major triad. And then finished it off with a D augmented triad root position. Now if I want to get fancy, I can use this tap tempo thing with my Vertigo tremolo, and I can really mess with the sound.